Joshua chapter 21, the Levitical towns. The heads of families among the Levites came to Eleazar the priest and to Joshua son of Nun, and to the heads of families and of all the tribes of Israel. At Shiloh in the land of Canaan they said to them, The Lord commanded through Moses that we should be given towns to live in, with the pasture lands around them for our cattle. In accordance with the Lord's command, the Israelites gave the Levites certain cities and pasture lands out of their own territories. When the first lot among the Levites fell to the clans of Kohathites, the Levites descended from Aaron the priest were given 13 towns from the territories of Judah, Simeon and Benjamin. The other Kohath families received by lot 10 towns from the territories of Ephraim, Dan, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. The clans of Gershon were given by lot 13 towns from the territories of Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and the half-tribe of Manasseh in Bashan. The clans of Merari were given 12 towns from the territories of Reuben, Gad, and Zebulun. These towns with their pasture lands the Israelites gave to the Levites by drawing lots, as the Lord had commanded through Moses. These are the towns of Judah and Simeon that they gave to the descendants of Aaron, who were of the Kohathite clan of the Levites, since the first lot fell to them. They gave them Kiriath-arba, the chief city of Anak's family, which is now Hebron in the hill country of Judah, with the pasture lands around it. But the fields and surrounding villages of this town had already been given to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, as his property. To the descendants of Aaron the priest they gave Hebron, a city of refuge for the slayer, and the pasture lands near it. Also Libnah with its pasture lands, and Jatir, Eshtemoa, Holon, Debir, Ashan, Juttah, and Beth Shemesh, each with its pasture lands, 9 towns taken from these 2 tribes. From the territory of Benjamin 4 towns, Gibeon and Geba with their pasture lands, Anathoth and Almon with their pasture lands. The towns of the priests, the descendants of Aaron, were 13 in all, with their pasture lands. Some towns from the territory of Ephraim were given to the other families of the Levite clan of Kohath. The city of refuge for the slayer, Shechem with its pasture lands in the hill country of Ephraim, Gezer with its pasture lands, Kibzaim with Beth-horon, each with its pasture lands, 4 towns. From the territory of Dan, Elteke, Gibbethon, Ajalon, and Gathrimmon, with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the territory of the half-tribe of Manasseh they were given 2 towns, Tanach and Jiblim, with their pasture lands. In all 10 towns with their pasture lands were given to the rest of the families of the clan of Kohath. To the Levite clan of Gershon were given the city of refuge for the slayer Golan in Bashan, and also Ashtaroth, each with its pasture lands, 2 towns, both from the territory of the half-tribe of Manasseh. From the territory of Issachar 4 towns, Kishion, Dobrath, Jarmuth, and En-ganim, each with its pasture lands. From the territory of Asher 4 towns, Mishal, Abdon, Helkath, and Rehob, each with its pasture lands. From the territory of Naphtali 3 towns, Kedesh, the city of refuge for the slayer in Galilee, Hamathor, and Gatan, each with its pasture lands. The Gershonites, according to their clans, were given 13 towns in all their pasture lands. To the clans of Merari, the rest of the Levites, were given 4 towns with their pasture lands from the territory of Zebulun, Jokneam, Gata, Rimmon, and Nahalal. From the territory of Reuben beyond the Jordan, 4 towns, the city of refuge, Bezer, Jahaz, Kedemoth, and Mephath, each with its pasture lands. From the tribe of Gad, 4 towns, the city of refuge, Ramoth in Gilead, and Mahanaim. Heshbon and Jazer, each with its pasture lands. A total of 12 towns were given by lot to the clans of Merari, the last of the Levites. The towns thus given to the Levites from the Israelite inheritance were 48, with their pasture lands. All these towns, as well as the pasture lands around them, were given to the Levites. So it was that the Lord gave the Israelites all the land he had solemnly promised to give their ancestors. They took possession of it and began to live there. The Lord gave them peace throughout their land, just as he had promised their ancestors. Not one of their enemies was able to stand against them. The Lord gave them victory over all their enemies and kept all the promises he had made to the people of Israel. Joshua chapter 22. The Transjordanian tribes returned home. Then Joshua summoned the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, and said to them, You have observed all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, ordered you, and you have obeyed me constantly. You have never deserted your brothers over this long period of time. At every point you have obeyed the orders of the Lord your God. Now that the Lord your God has granted your brothers the rest he promised them, go back to your tents, to the land given into your possession by Moses, the servant of the Lord, beyond the Jordan. But take care above all to keep the commandments and the law which Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you. Love the Lord your God, follow his paths always, keep his commandments, be faithful to him and serve him with all your heart and all your soul. So Joshua blessed them and sent them away. They went home to their tents. Moses had given territory in Bashan to one half of the tribe of Manasseh. Because of this, Joshua gave land to the other half of Manasseh among their brothers on the west bank of the Jordan. As Joshua sent them home to their tents, he blessed them and said to them, You are going back to your tents with great wealth, with cattle in plenty, with silver and gold, bronze and iron, and great quantities of clothing. These are the spoils of your enemies that you are to share with your brothers there. The altar beside the Jordan. The Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh left the Israelites at Shiloh in the land of Canaan, and returned to the land of Gilead, their own territory, which they had received in accordance with the order of the Lord given through Moses. When they came to the region of Jordan in the land of Canaan, the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh built there an altar beside the Jordan, an imposing altar of great size. The Israelites were told, The Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh have built an altar facing the land of Canaan in the region of Jordan, in the territory of the Israelites. At this news, the people of Israel summoned the whole community at Shiloh, ready to make war on them. The Israelites sent the priest Phinehas, son of Eleazar, to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh in the land of Gilead, and with him 10 chiefs, one from each tribe in Israel. Every one of them was head of his family among the clans of Israel. When they came to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh in the land of Gilead, they said to them, The whole community of the Lord asks you, What do you mean by this treachery committed against the God of Israel? Why turn aside from the Lord today, building yourselves an altar? You are sinning against the Lord himself. Was the sin at Peor not enough, the sin from which we are not cleansed even now? In spite of the plague that ravaged the whole community of the Lord, you have stopped following the Lord today, and you have set yourselves in revolt against him today. Tomorrow his anger will be roused against the whole community of Israel. Do you think your land is unclean? Then cross over to into the territory of the Lord, where his tabernacle is, and come to live among us. But do not rebel against the Lord or set yourselves apart by building an altar to vie with the altar of the Lord our God. When Achan, son of Zerah, betrayed his trust in the matter of the solemn band, did not the Lord vent his anger on the whole community of Israel? Although he was only one man, did he not have to die for his sin? The Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh answered the heads of the clans of Israel. The Lord is the God of gods. The Lord knows well, and let Israel know it too. Let the Lord punish us immediately if there has been defiance or treachery on our part against the Lord. Let the Lord punish us if we have built an altar to turn away from the Lord and offer holocaust and oblation and communion sacrifice on it. We made it to prevent what might happen one day when your children say to ours, "What link have you with the Lord, the God of Israel? Has not the Lord set the boundary of the Jordan between us and you sons of Reuben and sons of Gad? You have no share in the Lord. Thus your children might make our children turn aside from the Lord." So we said to each other, "Let us build this altar, not for holocaust or other sacrifices, but as a witness between us and you and among our descendants after us. It will prove that we too worship the Lord with our holocaust, our victims, and our communion sacrifices in His presence, so that your children will never be able to say to ours, 'You have no share in the Lord,' for in this case we should say to them, 'Look at this structure, the Lord's altar made by our ancestors, not for holocaust or other sacrifices, but as a witness between us and you.' Far from our intention be any defying of the Lord or turning away from Him today. We are not building an altar for holocaust or oblations or sacrifices to compete with the altar of the Lord our God that stands before His tabernacle." When Phinehas the priest and the leaders of the community who were with him heard the answer of the sons of Gad and of Reuben and of Manasseh, they approved of them. Then the priest Phinehas, son of Eleazar, said to the sons of Reuben and sons of Gad and sons of Manasseh, "Now we clearly see that the Lord is among us. Because you have not sinned against Him, you have saved the people of Israel from the punishment of the Lord." The priest Phinehas, son of Eleazar, and the leaders left the Reubenites and the Gadites and returned to the land of Gilead in the land of Canaan. And they brought back this answer to the Israelites. The Israelites were pleased to hear this. They gave thanks to God and spoke no more of making war and ravaging the country where the sons of Reuben and Gad had settled. The Reubenites and the Gadites named the altar witness, because they said, "It will be a witness between us that the Lord is God." Psalm chapter 98. The Lord, King and Judge of all. Sing to the Lord a new song, for He has done wonders. His right hand and His holy arm have won victory for Him. The Lord has shown His salvation, revealing His justice to the nations. He has not forgotten His love nor His faithfulness to Israel. To the furthest ends of the earth all have seen God's saving power. All your lands shout for joy to the Lord. Break into songs and sing praise. Sing praise to the Lord with the harp and melodious song, with trumpet blast and sound of the horn. Rejoice before the King, the Lord. Let the sea resound and everything in it, the world and all its peoples. Let rivers clap their hands, hills and mountains sing with joy at the presence of the Lord, for He comes to rule the earth. He will judge the world with justice and the peoples with fairness. Luke chapter 9, verse 37 to 62. A boy with an evil spirit. The next day when they came down from the mountain, a large crowd met Jesus. A man in the crowd called out, "Master, I beg you to look at my son, my only child. When the evil spirit seizes him, he suddenly screams. The spirit throws him into a fit, and he foams at the mouth. It scarcely ever leaves him and is wearing him out. I begged your disciples to drive it out, but they could not. Jesus answered, You faithless and perverse people, how long must I be with you and put up with you? Bring your son here. And while the boy was being brought, the demon knocked him to the ground and threw him into a fit. But Jesus spoke sharply to the evil spirit, healed the boy, and gave him back to his father. And all of them were astonished at God's wonderful work. The second prediction of his passion. While all was still marveling at everything Jesus did, he said to his disciples, Listen carefully to what I tell you now. The Son of Man will be delivered into the hands of men. But the disciples did not understand this saying. They were prevented from grasping what he meant, and they were afraid to ask him about it. Who is the greatest? One day the disciples were arguing about which of them was the greatest. But Jesus knew their thoughts, so he took a little child and stood him by his side. Then he said to them, Whoever welcomes this little child in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. For he who is the least among you all is truly the greatest. Then John spoke up, Master, we saw someone driving out demons by calling upon your name, and we tried to stop him, because he does not follow you with us. But Jesus said, Do not stop him. He who is not against you is for you. Departure for Jerusalem. As the time drew near when Jesus would be taken up to heaven, he made up his mind to go to Jerusalem. He had sent ahead of him some messengers who entered a Samaritan village to prepare a lodging for him. But the people would not receive him because he was on his way to Jerusalem. Seeing this, James and John, his disciples, said, Lord, do you want us to call down fire from heaven to reduce them to ashes? Jesus turned and rebuked them, and they went on to another village. The cost of discipleship. As they went on their way, a man said to him, I will follow you wherever you go. Jesus said to him, Foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. To another Jesus said, Follow me. But he answered, Let me first go back and bury my father. And Jesus said to him, Let the dead bury their dead. As for you, go and proclaim the kingdom of God. Another said to him, I will follow you, Lord, but first let me say goodbye to my family. And Jesus said to him, Whoever has put his hand to plough and looks back is not fit for the kingdom of God.